Commissioner Peter Wood.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Peter Wood. I'm an advisor neighborhood commissioner in Atlas Morgan and a firmly pro-abortion resident here to support both the bills we're discussing. I'd like to detail some work I've done the past few months unifying ANCs across the city around this issue. But first, let me elaborate on why ANCs are so invested in the first place. The list of reasons why access to abortions must be unimpeded is long and well articulated. Some of the more prominent discussions focus on instances of rape, incest, and sexual abuse, where offering access to an abortion is a moral obligation by society. Similarly, domestic violence is often intricately woven with the need for abortions. That's true in cases of physical threats, but also relationships where coercion, emotional manipulation, and other forms of exploitation like financial control are predicated on an imbalance. One person can dictate if another person has to gestate a fetus, regardless of whether that person wants a fetus inside them, wants to care for that fetus once born, or if the person who impregnated them is willing to assume comparable responsibilities. Situations like these, where abuse and violence occur, are crucial points of focus. But the line isn't drawn there. Even in scenarios where sex is consensual, relationships are healthy, and resources exist to raise a human being from birth, access to abortion is a fundamental necessity. If someone wants an abortion, they should be able to get one. End of story. Unfortunately, we all know our reality in the United States is far from this ideal. Childcare is expensive and often inaccessible. Maternity and paternity leave are laughably short and underfinanced. People die during childbirth at a much higher rate than in most of the quote unquote developed countries of the world. Even just socially, our cultural fabric often implies that once a child is born, your identity must shift from person to parent. There are also macroeconomic elements to consider. For years, researchers have demonstrated that access to education is one of the most vital factors for empowering women and improving the quality of life in a given community. The underlying reason? Because autonomy matters. Access to information which can inform one's ability to make decisions for themselves is the foundational premise for free people. This is the standard we need to uphold. Just as with education, access to abortion is a fundamental element when codifying a person's autonomy. While the comparison warrants qualifiers, namely that not all women can get pregnant and not everyone who can get pregnant is best labeled as woman, the point remains the same. Autonomy matters. Beyond the invaluable reflections of healthcare practitioners, patients, and policy experts, one area of work that is worth mentioning comes from, oddly enough, my background as a geographer. There's some research which suggests, among many other things, that abortion lowers crime rates, but that really just addresses a deeper, more abstract concept, something which academics call biopolitics. Much like how political refugees are stripped of their status as autonomous human beings, denying access to abortions is state violence. It puts childbearers at risk, it contributes to rises in suicide rates, and it infringes on the right, so ironically encapsulated by that famous yellow flag with the rattlesnake, to not be tread upon. Again, autonomy matters. Those of us in the District of Columbia know this incredibly well. Liberty is only real when self-rule has no strings attached. The fight for statehood trudges onward, and this chapter of the story reinforces the need for local leaders to step up. That's why scores of ANC commissioners have risen to the occasion and passed resolutions in support of today's bill. I have a longer summary that I'll send in written form, but just to briefly summarize the main points from the resolution that I've circulated. We urge Council to pass these bills and others like them. We urge DC government to make it widely known that DC is a safe place to get an abortion. And we urge DC government to make sure people can safely travel to and from places where they get abortions. I've been personally in contact with all 39 ANCs that currently have quorum, working together to demonstrate that DC's most hyper-local representatives overwhelmingly understand what's at stake. And the numbers are still changing, but my latest count is that at least 19 ANCs in DC have passed this resolution that I've mentioned or something similar to it, at least one in all 8 wards, and many others have this resolution on their next meeting's agenda. So just to close with a summation of the spirit of our text, healthcare is a universal human right. Abortion is a common, safe form of healthcare. Abortion is legal and protected in Washington, DC. Let's keep it that way. Thank you.